Hello, and welcome to the Weekly Scroll Podcast. My name is Ryan.
And I'm brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends.
Wow. Have you ever played Raid Shadow Legends?
No, I've never played it.
I'm special guest Jarrett Crader, but I actually played Raid Shadow Legends for a while because I like to play little gamies like that where you have your little team and stuff like that, and you build up your characters and stuff. And I actually played it for a little while. It's pretty fun, to be honest with you. Like, yeah. I found it fairly enjoyable.
That's why we accepted the sponsorship.
I mean, that's the way to be.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe you've used that one before. I don't know why.
I think I have actually used that one before, but you know what?
Damn, you know we've been doing this too long when we're doubling shit up.
But you didn't have a guest who's actually played Raid Shadow Legends.
So. That's very true.
Yeah.
And just for people that don't get the joke, we're not fucking sponsored by anyone, much less Raid Shadow Legends.
Sorry, next time I'll say we're sponsored by MeUndies, or some other
there you go.
some other bullshit that everyone gets sponsored by.
Yeah. We use our gamer subs code for 10% off. It's a
that
hashtag
like and
hyperlink.
Subscribe button. Yeah. Smash that button.
Please do. So yeah, so this is not Cat Chat's number, I want to say 10. The first one of the year. You know what's crazy is that we actually did 9 of them last year. I feel like that's one of the most consistent things we did all year.
It's great.
Yeah.
Good job, Jarrett.
Yeah. Woo. And for those that might be seeing the first Not Cat Chats, this is when a friend of the show, Jarrett Crader, who's edited probably every TTRPG book you've ever picked up, comes on the show and talks about a bunch of bullshit with us for like 45 minutes and then briefly discusses the new releases that Space Penguin Inc. Is coming out with for the month that you should all buy because they all fuck. Jarrett, we were talking before stream started, and we're gonna pick one. Are we doing a pin discussion or are we doing a bread discussion? What are we doing?
Let's talk about pins because I didn't get to. Well, first off, let's Hunter and I gang up with the Sharpie S gels.
Yeah,
Sharpie
correct pen.
S gels. I have red because I'm an editor, and I actually still do use the red pen. You know, my friend Jen used to call her red pen the red pen of doom. I don't really call it that, but I do use a red pen sometimes when I'm going through manuscripts and stuff. I usually only print out larger manuscripts, like stuff that's like 30,000 words plus, because it's a lot easier for me to physically have the book and then be able to flip back and forth in sections rather than look at like a bunch of broken up PDFs. Or not PDFs, a bunch of broken up Word documents, because that's kind of hard to wrap your brain around and stuff. Whereas if you have it all at once, then you can flip back to the beginning and be like, okay, he mentioned it here, you know, they mentioned that there, you know, she mentioned this there and stuff like that. So, but I really enjoy these red pens for like writing and everyday notes and stuff like that. So
yeah, me too. Ryan was saying that listeners, Ryan was saying that our Sharpie gel 0.7 pens were markers, and I'm like, I don't think it's like a fair comparison.
They're not markers. They're not markers.
I defy you to take a 0.7, which I can't even imagine. Right, you're basically writing with like a pool cue at that point. Sharpie gel and a Sharpie fine point marker, and tell me the difference.
Oh, I know, because I use a fine part Sharpie marker, and it bleeds way more.
So you think the gel is a less of a bleed?
Yeah, totally. The gel, honestly, it's just this is really great content we're making right now.
It is. Listen, everyone in TTRPGs uses pens, right? We're gonna have a notebook discussion next time.
If you want a pen that slides as you write, like easily slides across the page and doesn't feel like, I don't know, with the very fine stuff, sometimes I feel like I'm dragging it. The Sharpie S gel slaps tremendously. I bought a 12 pack, and my fiance was like, "Why the fuck did you get 12 pins?" And I'm like, "Because they were like 4 years. They were 40 cents a pin when you get 12 of them." Yeah, and I'm like, I'll lose one every 5 months, and then after a few years, I'll buy 12 more.
Now, my current daily driver is 𝗬𝗔 Vision. It is fine tip. This is also red. These were gifted to me from my good friend Thriftomancer. She sent me several care package, and I really enjoyed it. Now you want to talk about fine tip, Hunter? I mean, these they're fine tip. Like they're really, really, really good. For those watching at home or listening at home, Jarrett's drawing on the back of his hand right now with his fine tip Univision.
All right. So
And
if you want to talk about
handy.
fine tip, I will talk about what I believe to be the superior pen. And I think it's, to me, superior for the exact opposite reason of why Hunter thinks that the gels are superior. I rock, and have rocked for a very long time, probably going on 14, 15 years, the Pilot G2s, in a 0.38 ultra fine. So it is almost half as thick as what you guys are writing with the 7. So this is what I use for all my notes and stuff at home. The reason that I started using this pen is in my field, we used to have to write on paper, even though now it is almost all digital. And the paper we used to have to write on was very small boxes and very tiny sections to write notes in. So I'd have a very small pen. Also, my penmanship is terrible, and I blame the fucking system because I moved from Texas to Pennsylvania between 3rd and 4th grade. And in Texas at the time, you learn cursive in 4th grade, but in Pennsylvania at the time, you learn cursive in 3rd grade. So I was a year behind on penmanship, and my teachers tried to like force me to catch up, and my penmanship has sucked forever since. I've even previously bought penmanship books, like practice books, to try to get my penmanship better. It worked briefly, but it still sucks. But if I have a thicker, smoother pen, my penmanship is even worse. If I have this like scratchy pen that I have to like slow down, and it scratches across the paper, my penmanship is better because it like, if it flows too much, it's just like squiggle.
It drags a bit. Yeah, and it pulls you. It drags, and helps you actually stop on those tight curves and stuff like that.
Yeah. But what I use at work, are actually 0.5 erasable pens in black, red, and blue, because I constantly have to rewrite over stuff that I've already written, or adjust my notes, or take my notes, and things like that. So I do usually use a 0.5 at work. I don't remember the brand of the erasable pens that I use, but that is what I write with more than probably anything, since I do work more than I write at home. And that,
I guess pens are supplied at work then?
No, not at all. I buy my own pens.
Ah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess theoretically I could use the work pens, but they suck, and then people touch them, and yeah, I don't want people touching the stuff that I touch. I'm actually going to tell you, and then we'll move on to the next tangent. The pins I got are Pilot Friction. Here we go. They are still Pilot. They're Pilot Friction Ball Knock Retractable Erasable Gel Ink Pens. Extra fine 0.5. That's what I just said. They're erasable. Yeah. That's the only reason I use them. And what I like about them is that when you buy the pins, you get the 3-pack of colors and a 3-pack of replacement for each one. So you get the 3 in the pin and then 3 more of each color. So you end up theoretically with like 10 pins.
Yeah, I just dropped a pen that I really want to get into our little group chat. When you guys peruse it at your leisure.
Got some of that bolt action. All right.
Yeah.
So
I loves me some Right in the Rain, Hunter.
Yeah. So all my notebooks are Right in the Rain.
Nice.
Oh, check it out. I don't even know this brand. So how about tabletop role playing games?
What
about them?
Yeah, what about them?
Yeah. what about them? What has happened since? When's the last time you were on? Did we do a December episode? Was it a post-PAX?
We did a December post-PAX episode, yes. So what's been happening since then? Well, we're still waiting on Karen. It's on a boat. It's getting closer every day. I'm checking the tracking every single day. We've had people who are new to crowdfunding be like, I paid for shipping. Shouldn't my stuff ship? And I'm like, well, you see, you get charged for shipping, and then it takes up to 60 days for that money to clear backer kit and land in my account. So then I can purchase mailers, which we've already purchased a bunch of the boxes for them. And then those will be stamped with, of course, Karen stamp on the outside and Space Penguin on the outside, and then they'll slowly get folded. And then those will be filled with Karen Joy. Yay! And in the meantime, Debbie has been pushing through the Shrike for Silver Arm Press, Joel Hines and Company.
Oh, yeah.
And got those out the door. We're sending out the last of the wholesale orders Monday, tomorrow. Those are being packed up right now, so that's cool. And then we're doing. Do you guys know Princesses and Perils?
We do, in fact, know Princess and Perils.
From Outrider Creative.
Is this a joke, or is this a serious
I'm
question you're asking
I don't know if you do. If you know,
I don't know if there was a game in our year-end review that I fucking glazed more than Princesses and Perils. I love the shit out of that game. It was on like half of our list of like best games. It was in my top 5 games of the year. I think it was in our total top 5 games of the year. Yes, it's great. Very excited for the expansion.
Yeah, so we're fulfilling that as well. I'm actually, while we're talking here, I'm watching my numbers push over to our shipping program, so that is all good to go and set up very soon. And then those will start going out this week. And then we've got Marco's Greenhorns from Spicy Tuna RPG coming up shortly thereafter. Those should be arriving this week sometime. And then what else we got? And then just the big boy, the big boy Cairn coming. Ghost of 𝗲𝗂 Mountain is getting a sample ordered this week, and possibly, most likely, probably so is the Survivors of the Core Wars decks getting a sample ordered this week. Both of those are done as far as like production goes. Now it's just post-production, so now it's getting samples made and tweaking based off of the samples and all of that stuff, you know. So still working on getting the Ghost of 𝗲𝗂 Mountain, or no, sorry, the Survivors of the Core Wars backer kit pledge manager going, because I've not shipped decks of cards before. So I know that decks of cards will have to ship USPS Ground Advantage, or, you know, ground something from UPS or something. But we're trying to figure out the sweet spot to make sure that based on the weight of that deck of cards, with the box and everything with it, that we don't end up hosing ourselves on shipping plus possible tariffs with the incoming administration. Tomorrow's the big day. A lot of role-playing game manufacturers are going to find out how their year's going to go tomorrow, essentially. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Let's not talk about that too much. Let's just not jinx it. Let's just knock on wood. I bought a wooden desk so I can knock on wood. For those listening at home, I'm knocking on my wooden desk. What else? Behind the scenes, February release is printed and in your hands for next month. And March release just arrived this week. April release is going to be Endless Horrors from Between the Stars, which we've already covered. It's a crowdfund. So that one's already in, and that one's good. And then May release, I don't know what the May release is going to be yet. I think it's going to be Rosethorn Keep from Charlotte Laskowski and K-Devs, which is a cool solo play. I was
going to say, I have the PDF of that already.
Yeah, so we're going to do a print version of it. So it's going to be landscape, nice. So you'll be able to open it up in landscape and consult all the tables and everything like that. I've been playing it a little bit as I've been helping Charlotte edit it and really making it user-proof, so that when it tells you roll 3d6, you know, roll 3 6-sided die and record those numbers for later, that it actually says that, as opposed to roll 3d6, because you might roll 3d6, but then you usually, if someone says roll 3d6, that means roll 3d6 and add them together, usually. So we've had to work on some of the verbiage a little bit just to make sure that people aren't, you know, rolling 3 6-sided die and adding them together and then forgetting about that number, and you have to take the individual results. But that one's cool. And then we're also working on, we've got the teaser page up for the Liminal Horror Deluxe Edition, which is going to crowdfund in April. That book's coming along. Zach has been just killing it with the art. He's been turning in a lot of the spot illos, the pieces for the resonant artifacts and stuff like that. He turned all those in the other day. They look fucking amazing.
Real quick. So I believe they dropped what might be like the deluxe cover of the deluxe book.
Yes.
On Blue Sky. Holy shit. Hunter, did you see that? Yeah. I reposted it from our Blue Sky, so you can look at ours. But
Blue Sky right now.
Wow, that slaps super fucking hard.
Looks really good. So
Yeah.
yeah, and we're still deciding if we're going to have like a simpler, plainer cover as another possible option. We haven't really nailed down our stretch goals yet on that. We've got a little bit of time to play with that still. So, but as with most of our crowdfunds, we're keeping it simple. The improvements, the stretch goals are going to be improvements to the book. And then we've got a couple possible printed stretch goals, but we're keeping stuff straightforward and trying to make it as user friendly as possible. It just especially so it's easier on us on our end on fulfillment and shipping and stuff like that. So yeah. So that's kind of what I've been up to and what Debbie's been up to and what Di's been up to on the backside and all the gangs.
A lot of moving parts.
Yes, a lot of moving parts. I couldn't tell you the last time I actually took a full day off. So usually there's at least 4 to 6 hours a day that works in for work. So, but like stuff like this, like doing the show with you guys is fun work. So it doesn't really count.
Well, thanks for saying that.
Yes.
We hope we're okay.
Just a little bit.
I mean, we know we're terrible, but
there we go.
we're glad that you still tolerate us. Let's go with that. But it's always great to have Jarrett on. I mean, watch the other 9 episodes. Jarrett Crader is an awesome person. Space Penguin is an amazing company. Everything that I have everything they've put out, and it's always fantastic. I'm really excited to talk about this month's. I'm always excited to talk about it, but this month release is interesting. Oh, you know what I noticed about this month release?
What?
There was something missing that was there in the last 12 months.
Is that I'm blanking. I know what you're saying.
Forbidden Psalm.
It wasn't the Forbidden Psalms. There we go.
Yeah. So I know we talked about it before, but Will and you guys did the monthly for an entire year, which is crazy.
Which is actually insane.
Yeah, and they're all absolutely fantastic. But that's done. There's going to be no more monthly Forbidden Psalm. Right. I know Will is working on a bunch of stuff, childhood and some other things. I assume all of that is going to be coming out with you. I can only imagine.
Childhood's going to be run on Will's account. It's going to be a backer kit because Will wants to learn how to use backer kit, which is cool. We're going to do fulfillment and sales and stuff, aftermarket, after crowdfund on that end and stuff like that. I'm pretty excited for that one. That one's going to land in my editing desk sometime this week. And that one's pretty neat. It's 90s nostalgia, but it's built with ages 8 and up so that you can get your kids to play these games with you and stuff like that. So, and then there's, I don't know, I hope I'm not blowing the surprise, but there's going to be STLs for it as well. So you'll be able to get some 3D printed minis of the characters and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And that one's going to be pretty straightforward. That's just going to be soft cover and like not a whole lot of extras and stuff. We've just kind of figured out what works as far as what goes with the Forbidden Psalm line. And it's still based on Forbidden Psalm, it's not quite Forbidden Psalm because we toned it down. We wanted folks to be able to play it with their kids. So we took out the fact that you die, you just get sent away to probation or whatever, stuff like that kind of thing.
Rounded.
So I haven't read the full rules yet, so I'm still waiting on those to hit, but they should be hitting sometime in this week.
That's awesome.
You know what's interesting is I've been seeing more and more Forbidden Psalm hacks lately.
Brian's got one at Vast Grim that he's doing, and he's actually doing minis for it and stuff too. And that one's pretty neat looking. Matt Cross and his buddy are doing a thing called Demise of the Species, which is more. It's like a bigger. So we did Forbidden Seas, which includes like boats and stuff like that. But Demise of the Species is like a bigger nautical themed one. So I'm going to be editing that one at some point too, and who knows, that one might be coming out under part of Space Penguin as well. We'll see. because I haven't really seen. I've seen like work in progress of that one, but they've been doing a lot of work on it. It's fairly densely packed. It's going to be a big book. So it's
I
coming
also
out.
saw 𝗦𝗃𝗃 from Chris McClanahan. They had previously put out, I think, a Merkborg hack, but it was basically Smurfs, but they were like yellow and black, and now they're putting out 𝗦𝗃𝗃, which is the Merkborg Smurfs, but for Forbidden Psalm.
Oh, cool.
Which is interesting. I think it's really neat. I didn't really have a massive desire to play as Merkborg Smurfs, but I think it's a really fantastic project, and I love a lot of the stuff that Chris does. So, I dropped the link for you in the chat.
Oh,
but that one looks really neat. It's just cool that, I mean, it's crazy how Forbidden Psalms blew up so big. Because I remember, like, we pretend to be just tabletop game reviewers, right? And I think there's been very few. We've only done maybe 1 or 2 solo games,
right?
And I think maybe just the 1 skirmish game. But when both of us read Forbidden Psalm, we were both like, "Fuck, we have to do this. This is amazing." And it's really, really awesome, because we talked to Will like fucking 2 years ago or something about Forbidden Psalm, and it was like first coming out, and it's crazy how much it's blown up.
No, Forbidden Psalm is 4 years old at this point.
Oh fuck! Well, I mean,
Will and I have been working together for almost 4 years on this.
Our first episode with Will was in 2021 or the very beginning of 2022.
Yeah,
like the very beginning of it.
So it had already been out for a little bit, but we are not 4 years old.
That makes sense.
I'm 33.
I'm slightly older. But it's I don't know, it's great, because first of all, the game is really awesome, but second of all, and I think we've said this over and over and over again, Will is just such an awesome person, like just a great human being. So I'm very glad to see every ounce of success that they have, because they deserve every single bit of it, and I'm just super excited to see just how much it's blown up and how much is now coming from it. And you know, when Forbidden Psalm first came out, I never expected, you know, Last War, Dread Knight, you know, Eldritch Horror. Now we're moving on to like a kid's version of the game, and all of them are just as good as the last. And it's just really cool.
There's a zombie one coming out this year called Hope is for the Dead, that it's in playtest right now. It's testing the noise mechanic to make sure that you don't just get overrun with Zeds every single turn. There's we're gonna do the redux of kill sample process, revised and expanded and re-edited, and maybe added some extra stuff to it. So I guess that's what expanded means. I said that. That's gonna come out at some point this year. That's just been sitting up here on my desk waiting for a while. I've got a small zine that Will did called Irradiated Rain that's gonna come out at some point. Yeah, so no FP monthlies, but plenty of FP content coming out this year. So, and some crowd funds to go along with it, and just more new books, both some soft covers, some hard covers. So, yeah, really excited for that.
Well, very cool.
I was trying to find the first time we actually talked about Forbidden Psalm. And I know the first time we talked to Will was episode 34. That's 150 something episodes ago, which is crazy. But I can't remember what episode was like the first time we actually talked about Forbidden Psalm. Oh, episode 18. Wow. That was quite a long time ago. Yeah, again, awesome for them. And obviously, it's awesome that you and Will are working together on this, because you're 2 of our favorite people in the world and 2 of our favorite people in Teach RPGs. So couldn't ask for a better team up to get this over and over and over and over, and more and more and more of it.
More and more and more of it. We've got a comic book one that we've talked about that maybe won't make it out this year. There's also a space one that's in process and being worked on. He's working on another one with one of his partners. He's a never-ending font of creativity, and we're a pretty good tag team, making good, clean, easy to use rule books and stuff like that. and yeah, just more importantly, focusing on making them fun rather than making them like mechanically confusing and stuff like that.
Right.
Like definitely with a narrative driven campaign inside versus, points and math and stuff like that. Like there's points in math, but we want you to have fun when you play Forbidden Psalm, whether you're playing it solo or co-op or versus or tag team or group or whatever.
Well, that's one thing that drew us to us in the first place too, was that you could just play Forbidden Psalm as a tabletop role playing game. You don't even need any of the skirmish rules at all if you really want, and that's cool. It's just a bit of a Merkborg hack. But honestly, I'm shocked that Will's been putting out this much this much stuff for this long without burning out, and seems to thrive on it, because they've definitely done more in one day on a game than I've done in like the 5 years I've been working on like the one game that I've been working on, which is crazy. If I could have an ounce of their stick-to-itiveness, I could maybe actually accomplish anything at all. But
look for the 28 Psalms and Horse War duo coming out for Zine Quest Zine month as well. I just edited those over last week, and those are pretty solid, looking good too.
Yeah. I saw 28 Psalms is also putting out their own book too, of like all of their articles in like one giant book or something.
Oh, 28 Mag, you mean?
Yeah, 28 Mag. I'm sorry, 28 Mag is putting out.
Yeah, putting out a collected of some of their selected articles, so that's pretty cool too.
Cool.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm getting deeper and deeper into skirmish wargaming, so I'm catching up on where people have been for years. So that's gonna be a good catch up for me with 28 Mag, and Forbidden Psalm is definitely my gateway in. That and Kill Team.
Well, as a publisher who works in that, I'm still way behind based on what everyone else has got going on. Like there's just constant churn, constant creativity behind the scenes, people making all kinds of new and neat stuff for it. So that's really cool.
It's interesting. I've been talking to a couple random people about that, and I bring up that, and I've had more than one person basically say, and this is not like a universal discourse or anything. I've had a couple people say to me that they're kind of leaning more into skirmish games right now, because tabletop role playing, just discourse and conversation and stuff like that, sometimes it's just so off-putting that if you could just make it a skirmish game and just like play the rules of the game and have fun playing it, sometimes it's easier than like having someone like argue about mechanics or like the way a game is supposed to be, or what it is and what's not a game and stuff like that. And it's an interesting conversation when it comes up.
Yeah, it fills that niche that I think is missing from 4E D&D, where you would have those combats that could take you, an entire session. Now you can get those again if you really want to. Not that you ever couldn't. You could just play 4E if you really wanted to, but you could, if you enjoy that tactical battle map style, you can replicate that really quickly and really super easily.
Yeah. Very excited. Very stoked. We're gonna play. What are we playing? We're playing Malagas soon, aren't we?
Yeah, I downloaded the mod for a virtual tabletop simulator that allows you to play Malagas, which
what's that?
I've read several times. It is a skirmish, like war game about playing as several necromancers, written by Tom Bloom.
Cool.
Yeah. It seems really cool. I watched some people play it, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of like interesting abilities and like ways to, your units can like level up over like several games, and a lot of fun times to be had.
There's got to be a mod at this point that someone made for Last War or Forbidden Psalm for Tabletop Simulator. There has to be. There has to be. If that's not a thing, have you guys ever thought about making some type of like digital?
We've considered it. The biggest concern with it is time investment, because we really want to be actively involved in that. And if you can't put your active time in there, then you're talking about putting in money to have someone do it right. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those, we've just shied away from the VTT space, both with that and both with the rest of the stuff that comes out from Space Penguin, just because we can't afford the time yet to really make it seeing, we've discussed loosely with a couple of people on how to do that and how to make it work for, some of our stuff. But there we might do something like that in the future for some of our modules. But for me personally, it's making the physical book is the important part. Like that's the biggest key to me. Like I want to make actual physical books and stuff like that. I'm all for digital versions and things like that, but I just like the physical book. I just really enjoy having it in my hands.
I couldn't agree more, but also it sounds like Hunter said he found one very quickly. So that's the thing about making something that people really enjoy is that the fans will just make the shit anyway. So
there is that,
yeah, which is cool. What game did we look at? We looked at some game recently, and I can't remember what it was, but some of the best resources and information we found on it was literally a fan page that had like got together. I can't remember what game it was that we looked at. It's Alien RPG. It was this insane page. We thought it was official, but it was just some fan page that was like 1,000 times better than like the support from Free League. So, people that a whole thing about like maybe if you run a business and your employees like what they're doing, they'll give you good hard work as opposed to capitalism.
It's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
You want to talk about new releases?
I was just gonna say we got the new. We got the new stuff.
Oh, hold on. I gotta do the same thing.
For those listening at home, we're holding up copies of the new stuff.
New stuff.
So you want to talk about which one you want to talk about first?
Let's go with the game first, and then we'll go with the adventure.
Okay. Tarnation.
Tarnation.
What in Tarnation?
Great, interesting book, because I talked about this a bit, maybe before stream, maybe during stream, I don't remember. It's all a blur at this point. But I'm not really a solo journaling fan. I have a ton of solo journaling games. I like them as a concept and I like to read them, but like I prefer solo adventure games, like 12 years and things like that. But Tarnation is very interesting and weird and seems really awesome. And it comes with 2 adventures and a dope like character sheet bookmark situation. Yeah. So what is Tarnation Solo Adventures Beyond the Wild West?
So it's a Wild West solo RPG. So you've got your prompts and you've got your basic character creation, and then you've got your prompts, and then you're writing. It's like a solo journaling RPG. I'm sure listeners have played those before and things like that. But it very much deals with things that are just a little bit weird and just kind of off-putting, just out of reach type sort of stuff like that. Think like Joe Lansdale's fiction and stuff like that, like Jonah Hex and Weird West tales and stuff like that. So it's written and created by Symbolic City, and they reached out. They had originally had a book that was going to be published in my time when I was at EF, and I don't know if that ever happened or not. But they came to me with this full package complete, with a plan to release, these pamphlet adventures, which include more prompts and more situations for you to deal with in your adventures. And even though I swore that I swore to Debbie that I wouldn't do any more sets where she had to like compile stuff together into a plastic bag, we still did them anyway. And it's really cool. It's really neat because we get the zine printed at Mixam, and then we get the pamphlets and the character sheet printed at our local place down the street. And they do a really nice job. It's a really nice set total. And it's just one of those things, like it just piques your interest enough. You're just, you're like weird and West, and just kind of where you can go from that. So I'm actually, one of these days when I get some more time, I'm going to actually start my own character and try to do it and do an actual journal. So I'm really bad about getting to play like modules that I create or help create and publish and stuff like that. I can run those. Those are easy. like easy to get together, but it's the solo play stuff and like the skirmish stuff like that that takes a little bit more dedication to do it. So let me go on record for saying that I am going to at some point this year try and play some Tarnation by myself.
Me too. Probably maybe today, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I recently pulled out a bunch of other solo stuff to start doing more solo stuff again. I pulled out Lay on Hands to run through again. I pulled out some 𝗲𝗲 Valley stuff, 𝗲𝗲 𝗖𝗵𝘁 to run through again. So this is going to go right on the solo pile. You know, one thing I love about this book too, they did a really good job, first of all, making and explaining the book, but the adventure that they put in, which is almost like half the book, they put an adventure in, but specifically wrote it in such a way that it teaches you how to play as you go. So there's like instructions in every little section. So if something's not quite clear in the actual rules, which are really straightforward and pretty simple, they still do a really, really fantastic job of all of this gray on every page is like explaining step by step as you go through, which is really, really neat. And then, yeah, like you said, with the set, you get the adventure in the book and 2 more adventures. So you get 3 adventures, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, really weird, really interesting. I don't want to give away, you know, too much by the fucking book. We'll make sure that there's links down to it. But it's such a weird, like you said, just like West, but like the dial turns just like a notch or two, and it's really fucking cool. It's really, really, really
and it's not like gory, and it's not like, you know, you're homicidal maniac and stuff like that. It's just weird. Off kilter, weird, as the best way to describe it. So
I love that.
It's good. I'm a big fan. As soon as I flipped it open, honestly, as soon as I flipped it open and read just the inside cover, I was like, this hooked me for days, like absolutely immediately. Very vibes right off the top. So excited to dig deeper into that one. And then
we have Unbidden Gifts of the Tyrian Vale. And this one, for those listening at home, this one is a slightly larger size. This is Royal Leo. Let me actually tell you what the actual size of this is called. It's not called Royal Leo. It's called, I asked the creator what it's called.
Katt Kirsch put out some awesome stuff on their itch page, so then go check that out. We'll make sure that's linked as well.
Yeah,
while you're looking that
really,
up,
really creative.
I wanted to ask too, what size is 𝗲𝗲? Because you edited 𝗲𝗲.
𝗲𝗲 is one of the B sizes.
Okay, all right. That's what somebody suggested, and I figured it was true. So it is an uncommon size.
Royal Leo. It's, gosh dang it. But we had a conversation and then we talked, and it wasn't Royal Leo. It was a different size. There's a different name for it, but it's definitely larger than your traditional zine. Like, it's definitely meant that way because it's more visual heavy. There's more art and design elements that go into this. But it's pretty much a nice big little location that you plop down on your map. And there's this cup, and the cup does weird things. And I don't want to give away too much about what happens in the module, but you can definitely deal with lycanthropes and all that kind of stuff. Cool. Definitely, it's Katt's first big published in print physical work, and she's got several more that she's going to be coming out with this year. I hope I get to publish them. And it's just one of those, Katt's been around for a while, and recently got back into creating in the RPG scene, and it definitely, between that and the combination of all of the design work and elements that she did, and then it's got art by Chow, it just definitely, I'm really hoping that people pick this one up and play it and drop it in, because there's a dearth, in my opinion, of easily drop-inable locations. There's big locations, and there's big adventures, and there's big hex crawls, and there's big mega dungeons and things like that. But this is something that you could pick up and drop in and play for 3 to 5 sessions. And it's enough information in there to really get your characters and players involved in that section of the area for like 3 to 5 sessions. And if you get 5 or 10 of those, then you've got a year's worth of gaming, or half a year's worth of gaming. So
absolutely. One of the things that I really love in the module, without giving too much away, so I completely forgot that I have the PDFs pulled up, so I never even flipped through Tarnation as we went through. But the map is really neat. I flipped through that on the PDF a little bit, but they do a really fantastic job on the page that I have up right now, where there is a cool map that's numbered. So then the opposite side has like the explanations, but beneath that is a really awesome point crawl map. And I love that, where you could either use like the abstract map to do whatever you want, but using the point crawl built across like the other map is such a fucking good idea. Yep. I love me a good point crawl. I honestly prefer point crawls to hex crawl. Well, I mean, that's just different purposes, different uses. Sure. But point crawls are so I don't know, they're fun, they're interesting. It makes things a lot easier to run. And I think this page is fantastic, with the top being the map, and you can see how the point crawl would lay over what the map is, and they did a really, really fantastic job of that. And the adventure is just like dark and fun and cool, and of course, obviously, like, I mean, the back cover says, "Even now, the taste stains my dreams." I mean, nice. You got me, you won me over,
Yep.
And then anything with Chow art in it, obviously, is going to look good. So,
and it's definitely full of good, really great purples and greens. It was definitely a purple and green month between the cover of. If you look, they're kind of like the opposites of each other.
They really are.
One heavy green and then purple, and then the other one purple, heavy purple and then green. And that wasn't intentional. They like, these two creative teams have never met. As I'm the link between them. But really, really cool. So
yeah. They're great. And Katt's put, like I said, Katt's put a bunch of neat stuff out on Itch. I think Chow worked on some other things that they put out.
Yep.
So a good little duo right there with some of the stuff that they've done. But real excited to see, because you said this is the first actually like officially printed thing that Katt got printed, right? Yeah. Yep. Excited to see more. Everything that I've seen from Katt has been fantastic. So really hope that, like you said, you get to print more of them, and we'll get to see more of their stuff. So fun.
We're sticking with that 1 to 2 releases a month, kind of spotlighting newer creators as best we can, and sticking with our old friends and old pals and stuff like that. And we're doing stuff like this. Like, that one is statted for quote unquote D&D, so you can kind of use it for any of your Ds and Ds. You can use it for DCC. Like, I'm going to run it in DCC because it's really simple and easy to pick up, and just throw stats in if you need to. But we're definitely going to have some D&D stuff this year. We're going to have some DCC stuff here. Next month's release is a DCC point crawl situation, which is pretty cool. We've got some other liminal horror stuff. We've got, again, like we said, talked about more Forbidden Psalm stuff coming out. I'm hoping to find 1 or 2 more Mothership modules to release this year. I'm waiting for people to come up with new stuff. That's one of the fun parts of my job, is because we're like 3 to 4 months out when releases go, and we don't have to have a new release every single month if we don't want to, but we do generally try to stick with 1 release and new release a month at least. I'm really hoping to get at least 1 or 2 more Motherships for this year. I'd love to have some more DCC. So listeners, if you're out there and you have nearly completed zines, and if you're looking for a publisher, or you want to know how we work at Space Penguin, like, email support@spacepenguin.me, and we'd love to talk to you and stuff like that. Always interested in meeting new people and stuff like that. Not interested in your ideas or your unwritten manuscripts. We're looking at stuff that's further along the line, that's mostly done.
Well, if I just send you a concept.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say thank you, because I really do appreciate people taking the time to reach out, and I'll read it over, but we'll just keep it in the pile. Like, it's one of those. It's one of those, because we're a smaller company and because our budget is a lot smaller, we look for stuff that's more completed, like that's definitely there before and when it's ready to go. And I know that a lot of people don't like that because they're like, what do you do? And I was like, well, we do all the marketing and we do all the distribution. We do all the fulfillment. If we go to crowdfund, we do the crowdfund too. So it's definitely, there's work to what we do. There's a lot of work to what we do. So.
Yeah. Well, and then you also personally have like a huge docket of editing stuff on your desk at all times. Yeah. So it's not like you can dev edit every single person that comes to you with an idea. That would be great. There's like 4 of you guys. Yeah.
I'm just about wrapped up with my edits passes through Wages of Sin, the new big mothership book. And then after that, I've got the Demise of the Species. And then I've got, you know, the Forbidden Psalm stuff coming up. And then there's 2 more of the Mothership Month releases. I'm editing those once those are getting closer to being done. There's going to be a secret, I don't know how secret a project is, but there's going to be a Redux version of a previous Mothership release from a third-party creator that's going to get some flesh out. So there's some dev stuff that's going to be going along with that, and then some actual editing and stuff like that. So yeah, my first half of this year is nicely packed up.
Looked out. Yeah, I know that there were a couple people talking about doing the big mothership thing, but they weren't sure how close, like the pirate theme, like how hard people were sticking to that. So I know there's some modules out there that were you know, further along that didn't quite get put into that. I'm curious if they're going to go for Zine Quest or maybe reach out to Space Penguin and get some more mothership module stuff out there. So yeah. That is us, I think, because you got sports ball to watch today, right?
Sports balls to watch.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
I'm a big.
You know what I got into recently?
I
got into professional sumo. Really big fan now.
Nice.
Sumo, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I've been watching all day for like 5 days.
They're live right now.
Nice. I've been watching Dakar, like the road race, because I edited Sean Richards' Smuggler's Pass for Orbital Intelligence, you know, which is the Dakar rally raid in DCC and stuff like that. And the Dakar is like, I got to actually catch up with this past week of Dakar and stuff like that. It's nice because it's a big long race through the deserts, and it's just a game of attrition. Like, it's so impressive that they can actually get these motorcycles and these little ATVs and these cars and these trucks through that desert. Like, it's just insane. Like, the amount of time, the amount of dedication reminds me of people dedicated to creating role-playing games. It really does. Like, very iconic, very much full of iconoclasts. I enjoy it.
It's definitely interesting in the myriad and plethora of ways that human beings push themselves.
It is.
Whether it be with pen, gel pen, or motorcycles across the desert, it really gets out there.
Complete. Look at that.
Look at us.
Circle is complete.
But yeah, that is Not Cat Chats 10. Expect Jarrett back. We're gonna try to get 12 Not Cat Chats episodes in. We'll probably move to Sunday for at least a while, as long as Jarrett's schedule permits. That'll free us up to do an extra review a month, or if we skip one, we won't lose one. So that'll be fun. So expect your on Sundays and our review still on Fridays, and that's it. Next month will be Not Cat Chats 11. I'm excited for next month's release. I've already got a peek, and it's neat. So, Jarrett, as always, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it, as always.
Good to see you, Jarrett.
Good to
see you too, all later. Bye.
Have fun playing Raid Shadow Legends.